There it goes. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so. Good afternoon, everyone. This is, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda. You got the agenda? Yeah. The special meeting of the Board of Finance. Thank you, John. Wednesday, October 25th, 2023 at 4 p.m. It's a special meeting. At this meeting, we will hear from presentations from Metro Hartford Alliance and Riverfront Recapture regarding this year 2024's funding associated with both of those organizations. So are there any public comments relative to agenda items? Any public comments relative to agenda items? Hearing none, we can move on to item number 3. And we have a presentation by Metro Hartford Alliance, and I understand Mr. Griggs is here to make that presentation. I want to thank you for making time to come here. We all agreed earlier that we haven't heard from each other in a while, and that this would be a good idea with respect to getting this year's budget together. And want to let everyone know that District Clerk has assured me that that this presentation is being videotaped so that anybody who missed the meeting today can get an opportunity to see it. And I'm talking about everyone, but particularly the commission members who are going to be asked to vote on the budget at some point. So at least they can be informed about this part of it through this presentation. So we'll go ahead with the presentation. Thank you for being here. And go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, Mr.
Thank you for the invitation, and always happy to come and present what Metro Hartford Alliance is doing here in our region. Today I've got more slides than you think I could get through in the amount of time you've allotted me, but trust me, we'll go fast. First thing I'd like to do is just make this work. There we go. Bring you up to speed on who we are again. Metro Hartford Alliance is an investor-based organization, private-public partnership, convened to promote economic development here in our region. We do that by focusing on a few key things that we think are important for not only the city of Hartford, but our region, specifically around business investment, trying to recruit and retain businesses here into our region, talent retention and engagement, extremely important not only for our region, but for our companies to retain the talent that we recruit in. Stimulate business success by fostering better connections between all of our companies. And then marketing the region outside of the Hartford region to the rest of the world for both companies and people to come to visit, to invest, and to stay. We have 4 basic initiatives that fall underneath the Metro Hartford Alliance. HYPE, which is focused on talent retention and engagement. The Hartford Chamber of Commerce, which had taken a little bit of a hiatus for a while, but it is 225 years old next year and is the 5th oldest chamber in America. Very proud of the Hartford Chamber of Commerce and the work that it's doing today. The CTIFS, bad name, but it is very much focused on the insurance and financial services sector. I'll give you some information as to what they've been up to over the last couple of years. And then the Connecticut Health Council, focused on the healthcare industry here in our region. Extremely important industry as it represents a tremendous amount of employee engagement, an opportunity for career ladders and opportunities through the entire region. Want to point out our board of directors. These are the folks that invest in us, sit on our board, and direct the work of the Alliance. We're very proud to have MDC there. Very proud to have you guys as part of our board of directors since 2002. Get in a little bit to the work that we're doing, very specifically on the IFS and the attraction of new businesses to our region. I don't want to point out the obvious, but companies around the world have been shrinking their footprint. It's an issue that we're facing here in Hartford, like every other city in America and around the world. So the opportunity for us to go out and bring new companies into our region from the U.S. is very difficult today. The average size of a new lease today is about 3,000 square feet. And when we're dealing with hundreds of thousands of square feet that's vacant here in our market today, to go out into the US market and try to attract new businesses here is very difficult. Couple that with the fact that we have a very low unemployment rate, so we don't have a lot of people to give either. So what we've done is we've focused instead on foreign direct investment. The companies that need to get into the US marketplace, they need to have an office. They typically set up smaller and bring people with them. So we signed an agreement, first of its kind, with the UK government in the United States to be a landing pad for British insurtech companies. To date, we've seen, and I've got many of the companies that we're working with on the slide here for you. This is our second cohort of companies. We aim to bring in 6 to 10 British companies a year. Again, they're going to be smaller, but we expect them to grow. What starts as 10 new employees when they show up can turn into 50, 200, even more over time. That gives us the opportunity for them to grow with us as opposed to us trying to attract them when they're already established and here. That corridor agreement, again, first of its kind between a U.S. Region and the U.K. government. Another piece that I'd like to bring you up to speed on is, and I've put a one-pager on each of your desks, or the assistant has, effective tax rate study. For so long, we've heard on taxes, and taxes are prohibitive to us attracting new businesses to our region. We decided that we would put that to the test, and we took a look at state and local taxes. We looked at what the industry considers the top cities in America for insurance and financial services. And then we gave a basic setup. It's a C Corp company that wants to attract 50 new people, 20,000 square feet. And we worked with CohnReznick to tell us what would the taxes be for each of those communities, right? So we tried to be very hands-off with it. We didn't pick the cities. We didn't do the study. And at the end of the day, what we found was that Hartford was one of the lowest taxed places for a company to set up a new business. So that's the kind of messaging that we're creating for our region as we go out and compete for new businesses and new opportunities to move here to the state of Connecticut, but very specifically here in Hartford. We do have regular measurements that we give to our board. We are metric driven. Everything we do is numerically tested, numerically reported on, and reported on quarterly to our board. We have yearly goals that we shoot for every year. You could see on our performance dashboard just for business investment where we're at for the year. We're trending really well, and we expect that to continue into the new year with our new approach. Our project pipeline, you probably see some companies up there that are familiar. These are the ones that we've worked with and have announced an expansion here in our region. Many of them in the logistics industry. When we started looking at logistics in 2018, we were laughed out of many places because we were promoting Hartford as a place for a Northeast logistics hub. We would go to Dallas, Chicago, we'd go to where all the site selectors were. They didn't believe it was possible, but yet here we are today. with more warehouses and distribution facilities than I think some of our residents want. Our business investment and outreach is not limited to just that. We do customized RFP responses for our region for any company or any project that is looking to expand nationwide. We do out-of-market assistance for our companies if it's site tours, if a company is, and we're doing it for some folks here in the room today. If you're going down to another community and you want to have connections made, we are the connectors, not only for companies moving in, but we're also connectors for our companies that are looking to make connections outside either our region or the country. These are the types of things we do on a daily basis. We do trade assistance for companies. We do export documentation work. We work with the federal government. We are a partner with CROG on our SEDS and getting our economic development designation, economic district designation from the USEDA. So we are involved in every aspect of economic development on the business investment side. I really want to talk to you today about the Hartford Chamber of Commerce. Again, this is a group that had been a little bit dormant within the Alliance for a while. We decided to relaunch it in January of 2020. Great timing on our part, but it actually was because what we were able to do was immediately help the small businesses here in the city of Hartford react to the COVID pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, we created a program, a private-public partnership with the city of Hartford that we called HeartLift. HeartLift is a program that was designed to reinvigorate storefronts in the city of Hartford, both in the CBD, but also in the city as a whole. I've got a few pictures here that I'd like to show you of the investments that have been made to date. Urban Lodge, which just opened maybe a week and a half ago. I encourage you to step down there. On Pratt Street, Bloom Bake Shop, they just entered their first year, completed their first year of business. Great place in the morning. I'm not going to tell anybody to go here, but I'm sure you all know where Capital Spirits is. Wonderful to have the kind of investment and the kind of retail that I think we all can be proud of in downtown Hartford. Not limited to downtown Connecticut lighting centers. We wanted to make sure that this program hit our neighborhoods as well. 50% of the businesses that we worked with were in the CBD, 50% were in the rest of the city. So a good, diverse geographic location for all the investments. Some numbers, because again, we like to numerically watch everything. We have 63 new businesses that took advantage of the HeartLift program. A total of $6.8 million invested through the program that was matched by at least $6.8 million of private funding. 70% of those businesses are minority or women-owned businesses, represent 772 new jobs in the city of Hartford, and that number is dated now, over 236,000 square feet of previously vacant retail first floor space in the city of Hartford that is now being used. Pratt Street, if you have a moment, walk down there. It is now active on both the north and south sides for the first time in decades. This program has actually won a national award for best use of federal economic development resources in the U.S. So what we have managed to accomplish with this private-public partnership has been recognized as the best use of economic development funds in America. The Connecticut Health Council, again, we just celebrated the 10th anniversary of it, perhaps 2 weeks ago. Very focused on the career ladders and workforce development opportunities that are within the health industries, but also to promote our state nationally, because we continually, year over year, are rated in the top 5 nationally as it relates to healthcare and education. These are the two things that we excel in and that we need to promote outside our region, because it is what people make decisions on where they're going to live, where they can have the best education for their children, and where they can grow old with health. HYPE, again, I mentioned our young professionals. HYPE is in its 15th year, and it is reinvigorated. We've got a Next Gen Summit coming up in a couple of weeks. I encourage all of you to take a look at it. This is an opportunity for our up-and-coming generation and our kind of the folks who sit in the seats of power to have a summit together, to talk to each other, to understand what each other is looking for and how we as a region can grow together. This really is a unique opportunity, and it is what a lot of regions around the U.S. are trying to do, but I think we've managed to really come up with a great plan on how to marry our young and existing generations together to look at the future of Hartford. Again, I promise to go quick because I want to have plenty of time for questions.
I'd say you did a good job with that, so thank you. I think before we move into questions, and we'll do questions from the committee members first, if we can, that I just want to make sure I explain. I'm not sure everybody that knows, our relationship, but on an annual basis, we've provided funding to Metro Hartford, and it's been for a long time too. And I don't know, we haven't really ever met, I think, or spoken that much, but I'm very familiar with Oz Griebel from years ago, and Mike Zalewski's here tonight, so he wasn't with Riverfront Recapture when Oz, came to the MDC and asked us to support Riverfront Recapture many years ago together with the mayor. So there's a role, obviously, and there's a relationship that's been between us for a long time. So my understanding is our finance staff has put together last year's funding level and asked us it's going to be before us, and so that's why we're here tonight. So I believe it's 100,000, 100 or 110, Bob. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe you can.
110.
110.
110? Okay, thank you. So that's what the funding level was last year, and so far on our budget, that's where I believe it's in our budget again at the same level. So I will let commissioners, Board of Finance commissioners, ask some questions, and we can start there. So are there any Board of Finance commissioners with a question for Metro Hartford's David Briggs?
At this time.
Go ahead, Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to ask for a response tonight, but you can get that to us at a future date. I and most of the commissioners at this table and of MDC have decades of service to their respective municipalities, including our citizen members, Highland and Awet. And I've always said that as Hartford goes, so goes the region. But could you provide us with examples of initiatives, successful initiatives, in the member towns other than Hartford? And provide us with, of the 63 businesses that were involved with the HeartLift funding, how many of those were outside the city of Hartford?
I could answer the one question quickly right now. HeartLift as a program was only in the city of Hartford. So those 63 new restaurants and retail establishments are all in the city of Hartford. was a program that we developed with the city using city ARPA dollars. We did offer that program up to other communities all over Connecticut. We gave the playbook to a number of them so that they could replicate what we had done and the success that we had here in the city of Hartford with that program. But I can get you the answer on the other. I would probably immediately point, be it good or bad, to the success that we had in our logistics and distribution outreach.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
If I may. This is nobody else.
As long as there's no other commissioner. Yep. Commissioner Sagai.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to know, I'm not sure if you already mentioned it, what was the exact amount that MDC support goes towards the Metro Hartford Alliance?
110,000.
10,000.
Yep.
Thank you.
And, if I haven't said it enough, I'll say it again. Thank you for the support. The work that you see going on, that we report on the screens, is only possible because we receive support from our investors like you and others. Without those dollars, we have to decide what we can or cannot do. So we appreciate the support, and we hope that as you walk down Pratt Street, you'll see your investment in those new restaurants and new retail. And as you drive through our suburban communities and you see some of the warehouse and distribution that's being developed, you see it there too.
I have a question about your support for economic development here in Hartford, but I'm going to let Scott Jellison has said that he wants to ask something, so we'll let Scott go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, David, for coming. So you mentioned, and we're all aware of this, right? The average rental is 3,000 square feet versus 20,000 square feet. Things have changed. COVID has changed everything. Lots of employees are working from home. I know there's efforts by some companies to try and encourage their employees to come back to work within the cities around the country. But one benefit we've had, and that's why our water rates, our water sales was so great this year, was because of the transition of commercial space into residential space. And so we're benefiting from that, and it's still growing. It was actually occurring before COVID, but now it's expanding. Can you just talk about your involvement in attracting that kind of development in Hartford?
Absolutely. So you're absolutely correct. COVID has changed everything we know about economic development and the future of cities and downtowns in particular. Early into what we hope is the post-pandemic world, we brought together a table of interested parties to begin talking about how does Hartford react to this new reality, right? What are we going to do with the approximately 5 million square feet of vacant or soon-to-be vacant office space that we have here in our region? We also know that it is a regional issue. So the table isn't just those here in Hartford. It is Windsor, who has, quite frankly, just as much vacant office space as the city of Hartford does. But when you look at how that the makeup of that vacant space in Hartford, it goes vertical. But in Windsor, it's horizontal and it's wide, and it doesn't really lend itself to redevelopment into housing the way that it does in downtown Hartford. So, as we brought this table together, we realized that the solutions have to be many, they have to be varied, and when we develop a solution in one community, it does affect the others, because as we take vacant office space off of the market, it creates opportunities for others. Here in Hartford, you're absolutely correct. Downtown housing is and was a big push. Metro Hartford Alliance, along with some partners that we've got in actually Detroit, we developed a federal program that is built very similar to the National Historic Tax Credit Program. that we had Congressman Larson present and actually sponsor and present nationally. It did not make the budget. We're hopeful that it still will. But it is part of the leadership that we have in trying to generate solutions for not just the problem that we have here, though it is very specifically designed for us, but nationally as well. So we have been leading on the conversion of older office buildings into new uses, and the most obvious use in most part has been residential. So we are pushing hard on that. When you look at the numbers, the majority of the new residents that are coming in, and I think it's very important to back up for a second, because there's this myth that the population in Hartford is stagnant, and it's not. Yes, we have people who move out, but we have people who move in, right? And it's very important to realize that those people who are moving in overwhelmingly want to live in the downtown core, right? They are choosing to live downtown, and they want to live downtown. 70% of all the new apartments that are being developed here in downtown Hartford are to new residents. So, you know, they're voting with their feet. We need to continue that trend so we can continue to bring new people into our region, because we have to grow. We have to find ways to grow.
I have,
Yes, thank you very much.
Did you want to say? Go ahead.
I guess to your point, I believe in the next 2 years, 2,200 units of new housing are coming online in Hartford. West Hartford's significantly grown with development, housing and commercial, and the suburban towns are too, the surrounding suburban towns, which are basically who we serve for water. As Scott pointed out, we've had some very strong growth that we didn't think we had, and it's evolved. So those are the things that we need as a company and as a regent. And
I completely agree that we are seeing growth. We are seeing growth where we would anticipate new residents. I can't say it enough. We need to continue to build housing. We need to build affordable housing, whatever that means. If it's workforce housing, we have to have housing that people can afford, and we will grow. The people are deciding that they want to live in communities like Hartford. We release a weekly digest of what's going on around North America as it relates to downtown housing, downtown office conversions, and the trends that we're seeing, so that we can keep us all informed and move in that direction, because again, I can't stress it enough, we have to grow. And the downtown housing is just one of the ways that we can do it. Suburban housing and the affordability of housing in our suburban markets, all part of the answer.
All right, we only have a couple of minutes left, and I certainly don't want to cut into Mike's
Too late.
Sorry, Mike.
But I do, one of the issues that the district is struggling with, I think, along with the city of Hartford, it has to do with economic development. It has to do with the sewer system. And certainly the MDC has done, I would say, or at least is beginning to do everything it possibly can to resolve the issue of our sewer system flooding into people's houses or backing into people's homes. We're doing everything we possibly can to take care of that. But the issue is that's unresolved is street flooding, which we really can't, it's not, the MDC can't do by itself, and maybe the city of Hartford can't either. So with respect to new economic development, and respect to like even specific projects that, might be out there and that you would be supporting, they're not necessarily all downtown, but some of them are close to downtown. I think what it's going to take, and we've all recognized this a number of times, that it's going to take a partnership, and that, certainly the economic cost of dealing with that issue in the city of Hartford for a developer who doesn't have the ability that in the surrounding towns, developers do have the ability to have additional space, to have a little more room to work with, than you would in downtown Hartford. So it's going to take a joint effort between the city, the MDC, the Flood Control Commission, CONDOT, Connecticut DOT. I know you've worked with the legislature too as well, and DEP. So I hope we can, what I'm saying is I hope we can count on you, and that we can keep a regular dialogue open between us on trying to solve this problem so that, we can move forward with economic development in Hartford in a way that, is fair to all the partners, and my concern, fair to the MDC and the member towns of the MDC. So I'm sure that we can, and I think that we have our chairman still, is Bill, are you still assigned to Metro Hartford? Do you still have a position? So I think that's a great way for us to keep that communication open, and I want to thank you for your presentation. If you have anything left to say, please go ahead.
The only thing I would add is we have been very intentional on making sure we stay within our lane and forming the partnerships that we need to get things done. When you look at a program like HeartLift, when you look at any of the successful programs that we've got, they are all predicated on us doing our job extremely well and bringing along the right partners to the table to make programs and partnerships that will work for everybody. If it's downtown, the downtown office market, if it is attracting foreign direct investment from Great Britain, if it is refilling storefronts in the city of Hartford, everything we do has been predicated on a partnership, an MOU. If we have to have an MOU that spells out what each partner is going to do, we do it. But we want to make sure we stay in our lane. The regional sector partnerships, again, is another example of partnerships. That one is designed for workforce development that we signed with Capital Workforce Partners. We don't want to get into things that we don't have to, but economic development and our development of the city is absolutely in our wheelhouse. And we would love to partner with you to help bring about the kind of change that parts of Hartford needs to develop.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And if there are no other questions, we'll move on to the next presentation. Thanks so much. And you'll be hearing from us pretty soon. By December anyways, you'll know for sure about the budget, but you will hear from us soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you
again.
for all the time.
Thank you, David.
I thought that was fair. If we can give them $110,000, absolutely, they can bring us into this thing a little bit. What the what?
Oh, my gosh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Mike, welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Finance. My name is Mike Zaleski. I'm the CEO of Riverfront Recapture. We're an organization whose mission is to connect people with the Connecticut River. We've been doing it since 1981. I was pleased to receive the invitation to make this presentation. We value our partnership with the MDC. And we certainly would not be where we are today if it wasn't for your longtime support. We are doing some great things in the riverfront parks and along the Connecticut River, so I'm happy to be here. And I'm also told that my predecessor, Joe Marfucci, annually or periodically would make this presentation. So I'm hoping I'm invited back to make this, to talk about the future of what we're doing. First, I want to thank the MDC and its commissioners for continuing to invest in outdoor public spaces, parks, and other spaces in the greater Hartford community, whether it's the open space and trails of the West Hartford Reservoir, or Reservoir 6, or access to Lake McDonough, or its important investment closer to Hartford in the 4 riverfront recapture parks. This organization has made access to clean, safe, accessible outdoor space a priority. The MDC clearly understands the importance of outdoor recreational space to the quality of life of the greater Hartford community. And post-pandemic, public parks, and specifically urban public parks, have never been more important. So those who are unfamiliar with the Riverfront Recapture Park system, we manage 4 parks in East Hartford and Hartford. We offer year-round access to vibrant urban parks with a full calendar of events, programming, and outdoor activities. In 2022, the Riverfront Parks attracted more than 780,000 people. They interacted with our parks in a variety of different ways, and the data we collect from park users shows that roughly 65% of our visitors come from towns other than Hartford and East Hartford. These are regional parks enjoyed by the residents of Greater Hartford. And these visitors can't help but notice the cleanliness of the Connecticut River, which directly shows your significant impact or investment in the Clean Water Project. That investment is clearly paying off. I believe Scott said it several years ago when he said, if you want to see the tangible impact of the Clean Water Project, visit the Riverfront Park system. Our parks are diverse, accessible, and welcoming to all. Again, 4 parks on more than 170 acres along the river, connected by 3.5 miles of accessible river walk. Great River Park in East Hartford is our longest park. It extends from the Bulkley Bridge south to the Charter Oak Bridge. It includes an amphitheater for concerts, a boat launch, docks, a river walk, and public art. Riverside Park, located in the North Meadows of the city, is home to the Riverfront Boathouse and our community rowing program. It is also home to our Riverfront Adventure program, lots of picnic tables and grills, more public art, a cricket pitch, and another boat launch. Mortenson Riverfront Plaza, our signature park in downtown Hartford, is the park that you probably see on the news in the morning in the background. It's home to the Hartford Healthcare Community Stage, which hosts more than a dozen cultural festivals, concerts, and performances throughout the season. And our very popular Riverfront Dragon Boat and Asian Festival takes place out of Mortenson Riverfront Plaza in downtown. And finally, Charter Oak Landing in the South Meadows of the city. Charter Oak Landing is a neighborhood park that is popular for fishing, picnics, and launching boats. We have management agreements with the City of Hartford and the Town of East Hartford to manage these parks. Our parks provide the greater Hartford community with the opportunity to gather by the river for fun, healthy activities in a clean, green, welcoming space. Our parks are open from dawn to dusk, 365 days a year. We have been fortunate, very fortunate, to receive critical funding from the MDC for more than 2 decades now. In 1997, legislation was passed by the state legislature that allowed for the MDC to include a surcharge on water rates to fund the maintenance and operations of the Riverfront Park system. For the first 19 years, the MDC maintained the parks with its own staff. In 2017, Riverfront Recapture took over the maintenance of the parks. How do we use the MDC's investment in our parks? Well, 100% of the funds go to the maintenance and operation of our 4 parks. In 2022, we spent a little more than $1,400,000 maintaining and operating our parks. About 40% of the funds are used for personnel, including Director of Operations, Public Safety, a maintenance crew leader, as well as a team of more than 25 seasonal Riverfront Rangers and maintenance staff. Our Riverfront Ranger program patrols our parks year-round, but has an extra special daily presence in each of our parks from May through October. We contract out for services like lawn mowing, leaf pickup, tree removal, and emptying trash, making sure that we use the dollars wisely and efficiently. And we're proud of our long-term relationship with Open Hearth Works, a local workforce development program to empty the trash receptacles in our parks with their work crews. The remainder of the funds go towards things like insurance and equipment and other expenses. Maintaining riverfront parks comes with its share of challenges, of course. This is July of this year. Flood season is a fairly significant challenge for us. This past July, we had a flood that crested at elevation 21 and put 5 feet of water in our boathouse. The water receded, we cleaned up, and people were back enjoying the parks about a week and a half later. This was the first, there have only been 4 July floods in the greater Hartford area on the Connecticut River in the last 100 years. You should be proud that the MDC's investment in riverfront recapture has enabled us to provide safe parks to residents of and visitors to the region. My hope is that you appreciate the MDC's investment allows our parks to continue to serve as an asset to the region and economic development within the region. A Connecticut DECD study, in fact, showed that for every dollar invested in riverfront recapture, an additional $2 is generated for the regional economy. And the MDC's continued partnership ensures that we can continue to enhance quality of life and economic development in the region. So I've talked about the past and the present. I'd like to take a moment to talk about what we have planned for the future. While we don't use MDC funds for these projects that I'm going to mention, your continued support allows us to work on these projects to connect to other member towns and generate revenue for the organization. To the south, we are working with the town of Wethersfield and the city of Hartford to complete an alignment study of options to connect Charter Oak Landing to Old Wethersfield. The study will recommend the best path to get to Wethersfield, and we're excited about the anticipated opening of the pedestrian and bike lane on the Putnam Bridge, which will mean we'll be able to get across the river to Glastonbury. At some point, we envision an additional connection beyond Wethersfield to Rocky Hill, and we've been encouraged by conversations with Bike Walk Rocky Hill as they want to make additional connections to the region. We'll continue to work on these projects because they connect the region and they connect your member towns. There's lots of opportunities on both sides of the river. Just north of downtown, the Joe Marfuji Riverwalk is currently under design. It will connect the Riverfront Boathouse in Riverside Park to the town of Windsor. Riverfront Recapture is moving this project forward with the city. It's a 2.5-mile multimodal trail that will be accessible to all. It's fully funded using federal, state, local, and private funds. And we're thrilled that the City Council in Hartford passed a resolution to name the Riverwalk in honor of our longtime CEO, Joe Marfuji. We've also raised private dollars to make the Riverwalk an educational experience, and it will tell the history of the Connecticut River in Greater Hartford. And that includes the significant investment that the MDC has made in cleaning up the greatest shared natural resource that we have in the Connecticut River. We hope to break ground on this Riverwalk project in 2024. And finally, in North Hartford, you may have heard that Riverfront Recapture was able to purchase 60 acres of urban brownfield land on the river at the Hartford-Windsor line. We purchased this parcel in 2019 with a generous private sector grant from the Richard P. Garmany Fund at the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. And we're planning to build a new riverfront park. A few important things to note. No MDC funds are being used to build this vital community asset in the northeast neighborhood of the city. The design of the park is actually fully funded by a grant from Congressman Larson, who is a really good friend of the Connecticut River and riverfront recapture. The park will include a commercial development on roughly 10 acres of the parcel. The commercial space is being developed to help diversify our revenue stream and support the maintenance of the new park area. We anticipate there might be housing on this 10-acre commercial development, more water customers. Like our other parks, we know that this type of development of a new riverfront park will spur economic development in an important part of Hartford and Windsor. The park and the commercial development will protect the existing right-of-way that the MDC has for a sewer crossing across the property. And we had some initial conversations with some MDC engineering consultants about a potential new water distribution pipe that might actually go across the property. We're certainly interested in being a partner in how that project develops. We think this is a great project for the northeast part of the city, the southwest part of Windsor, and frankly, the region in general. There are residents in those underserved neighborhoods who have very limited access to the Connecticut River, and this will help connect with the Connecticut River. We're fortunate that a number of state and federal agencies are supportive of our vision for a new urban park, and they've provided brownfield remediation grants and Riverwalk construction grants to help move our project forward. We anticipate having shovels in the ground next year for at least the remediation of the parcel and construction of our new cove and Riverwalk. There's a lot of really great activity and momentum happening along the river with projects like Hartford 400 and federal infrastructure grants and the Greater Hartford Mobility Study. There's a lot of focus on the river. We're proud to have the MDC as a partner in what's ahead. Again, Riverfront Recapture would not be where we are today if it wasn't for the support of the MDC, so our thanks. There are ways that we can continue to grow our partnership, of course, and recognize the significant investment that the MDC makes in our organization and in the community. I'm very pleased that we continue to have MDC representation on our board of directors. Commissioner Salimi and Commissioner Abedizian serve as ex officio members. It's a connection that we see as important to our partnership. So I close by simply saying thank you for your continuing support of the Riverfront Parks. You help make access to the Connecticut River possible, and you help make access to safe, clean, green parks possible for the community. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Mike. And any questions from commissioners from the Board of Finance first? So, Mr. Russo.
Thank you. Let me just put this on. Okay. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you. With regard to the maintenance of the parks, did I hear you correctly that you said you contract out that service? You don't have any of your actual employees cutting the grass, weeding the area, the walkways around the parks?
It's a combination. So we contract out for the lawn mowing because to take on the responsibility and maintenance of equipment would be an additional expense. We do have a seasonal crew. We have an operations director, a maintenance crew leader who are full-time 12 months out of the year, and then we have a seasonal crew that comes in and does a wide variety of different maintenance projects that we don't use a contractor for.
I asked the question because I reside in East Hartford and in the River Point condominium. So I look out at the park every day, and I do have to comment that you do take excellent care, at least on the East Hartford side that I've seen. I also know that there's a few volunteers who like to help along, is it the walkway to the Founder's Bridge, and they donate their time and plantings, and they have their own volunteers themselves that pull up the weeds and take care of that.
And we're fortunate to have that support from the River Point residents. We are an organization that at one point, I believe it was 2019, had about 2,800 volunteers that were working on projects within our park system. So we could not do what we do without our volunteers.
So how many volunteers do you have?
We are probably a little bit over 1,000 volunteers that we're anticipating in 2023. That's a combination of community groups, corporate outings, a variety of different groups that come to us and want to contribute their service in some way. That means that could be everything from maintaining flower beds or picking weeds or replacing dock boards or actually volunteering to help with our public events throughout the course of the summer.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners that have questions for Mike? Mr. Curry.
Since we still have about 8 minutes and I may not get this opportunity again. First, thank you for all you do. I spent a reasonable amount of time down at the river, and on occasion I see Mike cruising through, checking things are done, talking with his staff, and I think that speaks highly of you.
We have a great team.
The volunteer group, they don't, and I'm asking this question because in addition to being a citizen member, Wet's the guy is also a member of my town council. So the handrails down at the park in East Hartford,
Mhm.
you're not responsible for those.
We are. And there is a Great River Park improvement project that has been funded, and we're waiting for regulatory approval to be able to undertake a significant number of improvement projects within that park.
You're gonna put stainless steel in because it's underwater half the time?
We're best practices, of course.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Sagai.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just not a question, just a comment. I just wanted to note that I also am a frequent user of the park. It's a huge asset, not only to East Hartford and Hartford, but to the region overall. And what you've done, Mike, directly for the region, I've seen it. My friends have seen it. As someone who's also a young person in this group here today, an asset that what the Hartford Business Chamber of Commerce is doing, what you're doing, what other partners are doing for overall the city overall, making it lively for things to happen, events, outings, happy hours, making it lively for after 5 o'clock that people can hang out, work, live, and play in the Greater Hartford region and really be happy that they say that they live here is really a big help. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you both.
Thank you. I see our organization as one of many pieces of the puzzle that it's going to make this Greater Hartford region a success, and we, it's a partnership. It truly is. We need everyone's help.
Yeah, if I may.
As long as no other commissioners? All right, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Mike, I know the answer, but just to clarify, so the money that the MDC gives you, you don't use for debt service payments of any kind?
No.
Thank you.
Everything goes into maintenance and operations of our park system.
Thank you. Also, as you said, we've always said here that, the river is the bleachers of the MDC's Clean Water Project, right? So the cleaner the river is, that's our proof of what we're doing is the right thing to do. I'd like to talk to you about maybe focusing on your annual report on some of the clean water project stuff, so that way people understand why. I know Mark Nicole said when we built the bridge over to East Hartford, the walkway, I think that was 88, 90, whatever that was. You couldn't see the foundation footings in the river, and today you can. And that's a real reason because of the Clean Water Project. So it'd be nice to be able to focus on that if we could.
I think there's a real opportunity there to showcase the good work that has been done. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of work ahead, and we're looking to continue that, not only continue this partnership, but look for ways that we can continue to build it.
Right. Thank you.
If there's no one else, then Mike, I'd like to just say, so we, in our budget, I believe we've also carried the same amount that we've been carrying for a while, which is 1.2 million. Is that correct, Bob?
Yes, it is.
1.2 or 1.25?
1.2.
Okay, so 1.2 million. And as you said, we were providing the maintenance. I think 600,000 of that was being used for maintenance for something in that neighborhood. That's where it started, anyways, and then wound up in that neighborhood. And then it's been a few years now. So I will say that one of the things that I miss, since we don't do that, is seeing the MDC's logo on a lot of things, trucks and gators and other stuff at the park, so that people know that MDC is a major part of riverfront recapture. It's just a personal. I did come to all your meetings, and I did for in the course of a little over a year, and I know I said that there too. So it's not a surprise. So the other thing I'd like to mention is, so with the work that our staff has done, we were actually able to lower our water rate, which is pretty much unheard of in the state of Connecticut. I don't know that anyone else lowered their water rate, certainly nobody. And so that's good news. It's and I won't say it's bad news for riverfront recapture, but the budget, the funds that we give you, just became a bigger part of our, a higher percentage of our budget because we lowered the rest of it. And I know we've talked about this before, and I would only say this to encourage both you and all the commissioners here to understand. I've always supported, as so many people here have, the importance of riverfront recapture, what it's been able to do for Hartford and East Hartford and just the capital region. You know, it's just, because I remember what the river looked like when I was a child and a young man, and it didn't look like it does today. Okay, so especially River Point was a tank farm, you know, at one point. Now it's a beautiful high-rise building. But I still think that, you know, for the long-term, you know, success and strength of your organization, that you need you know, sort of a one-on-one relationship with the towns, and the towns, and I'm talking about maybe beyond just the MDC towns, you know, the 8 towns of the MDC, the non-member towns, Glastonbury, South Windsor, you know, they both have huge riverfronts, Glastonbury and South Windsor. So, and that at some point in the future, that you know, funding for the maintenance as the size of your capital improvements grows is going to require more maintenance. You know, if you build a park in Windsor, somebody's going to have to maintain it. So, but I would suggest that at some point you can do something more with the towns and all the towns, and you know, Newington, West Hartford. They don't have riverfronts, Bloomfield, you know, but to help, I think everybody understand that they do have some skin in this game, you know, and it shouldn't just be from the water customers. At some point, I think everybody participates. Each town has a parks department, you know, where they develop tax revenues and spend it on their parks. Your cost per capita of visitor to your parks is probably a lot lower than the towns. Who knows? Because you had 780,000 people come to the park.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Typically third or fourth in the state in terms of venues, behind the 2 casinos and Mystic Aquarium.
And the way that it's structured, you can't charge people to walk into this park. That's never going to happen. It's just not going to work. You know, maybe charge them for parking a car somewhere if they have to, but you can't really charge people for walking in a park. Nobody really does that unless it's a private park or zoo or something like that. So, but that's all. That's all. And Mike, I know I've said this to you before, and I hope that you know you believe that that people here at the MDC, including myself, commissioners here at the MDC, are willing to help you with that. And but I think it would be for the long-term strength of riverfront recapture and all the good things that you do, a direct investment from the towns and our good friend, the state of Connecticut. I know they gave you
Working on that.
DEP give you, was it $500,000 for Windsor Park? Or?
Those were ARPA funds. So for the park, there was an EPA grant, there was a DEP grant for remediation, there was a DECD grant for remediation. It's a vision that has been embraced. So we've been very successful in getting project grants. The challenge, of course, is always operating grants. So we continue to try to engage the towns along the river to start. But I certainly appreciate your comments about engaging other towns. And as far as the logo representation, that's something that we can work on. We can talk with MDC staff about how we appropriately acknowledge the investment because it is a significant investment.
And I'll rely on the staff to do that with you. But please know that there are people that are willing to help. And I think
Wonderful.
All I was trying to do was congratulate you on getting a grant out of DEEP. We don't seem to be getting the kind of money out of DEEP that you have. You talked to
It's a great project.
Council Stone about that, but it is a great project, and happy for the town of Windsor too. So anyway, if there aren't any other questions, Mike, thank you so much for this presentation. We haven't heard one in a while, and I think it's good to get back. And you're right, Joe Marfuji came here. But he came here to make sure that he walked out of here with whatever he needed to get done. So he never missed an opportunity to do that. So and along with Oz Griebel too, who helped at the time. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. He got $1.5 million.
General public comments is.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to close the special meeting with comments from the general public.
Judy Allen, West Hartford. I learned a lot. This was great. I learned a lot. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity I heard about the Next Gen Summit about young professionals, and I was thinking also about what Scott said about how hard it is to get young people involved in the trades. And sometimes these kinds of things do look at the white collar stuff, but maybe there's a way that they can also begin to partner on the working force kind of stuff. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public with a comment? Okay, hearing none, then a motion to adjourn would be in order. Motion been made, is there a second? Second, without objection, meeting's adjourned, and we're going to start our other meeting we started that meeting at 5:10.